Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Facebook and YouTube. Kristen Ryder here on this 26th of August, 2024. And I am delighted to be with my wonderful guest today, Miss Carol Mastroianni. Dun, dun. Welcome to the 11th episode of Who Are You? Who, dun, 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 dun. Who are you? Who, who. I think it's going to get longer every time because it's such a great song. And
It is.
Carol was telling me in the background that she listened to the Who concert today.
Kathy, woohoo!
Kathy Kalani in the house. Hello.
Melissa, my dear friend, is here.
Hi, Melissa. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Now, I can respond in the chat. We will be looking for questions for Carol in the chat. Carol is our wonderful guest for today. She is, first of all, Carol, I just love you. Let's start there. I love you, Carol. You are a powerhouse. You have been a member of Serious Joy community, and this is how you and I got connected, and your little dog listening to sound drops on Serious Joy. And then we got to meet in person in Austin in May. And as soon as I saw you, you're like, well, I was like, I know who you are. But I didn't know all of your gifts. Now, you are an empowerment coach, and your website is posted up here in the banner, and you are the creator of beyourinfluence.love. She did the .love, everybody. Now, you and I did a reading this summer. Your reading was off the charts, and it's like we've been planning this since Unite the Light to connect and have you on the show. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with me. And I'm so excited because you've done your new website.
Yes. Phase 2 is done. Phase 3 will be at the end of September because I'm here to support parents and their tweens and teens at the highest level possible.
Yeah. So what is the type of coaching work that you do that does empower others?
Well, let me just give you a little bit of background.
Please. Absolutely.
And I want to shout out to my sister who's on here, Kathy, and Trisha and Christine and everyone. I can't do my little, everyone knows I'm really big into chatting and typing. I can't do this on here. But anyways, the reason I became an empowerment coach for parents and tweens and teens is because I've actually been in the youth-focused substance abuse prevention, mental health, and overall wellness field for almost 16 years now.
Such a long time. And that was in a more social setting, right? Like with government.
Correct. In a nonprofit. I still run the nonprofit. And part of it's because, also I have a personal story, which I may or may not share on here. However, when we went back to 2020 and having already known what our young people are going through, what our parents are going through, and how, we're experiencing a youth mental health crisis like we've never seen before. Destructive behaviors have only been increasing for our youth. And we saw that like these young people, they were actually behaviorally stunted because of this being out of school, in school, online, not online. And really their overall emotional, physical, and spiritual growth, they just weren't really even feeling prepared. And I also saw, parents are already challenged anyways. Truly, if any of us have parents who are still alive, they really couldn't help us parent in what started back in the, like around 2008 when the iPhones came out, and then social media came out, and then it went on steroids.
Yeah. And then, what baffles me, if anyone is saying, oh, that's not true, but like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, they didn't even let their kids have the technology. Like if that doesn't show in your face how dangerous these things are. My own brain, Carol, my own brain, and I'm grateful for this platform.
There's always, and really when we talk to our children in that, and we look at social media, it's about fruits and vegetables, and it's, there's the candy and then there's the fruits and vegetables in the social media world, in the tech world, because there have been so many things. I mean, truly since 2020, our lives have opened up in a way that we could have never imagined. And people have reimagined their lives, but there's also the pitfalls too. And it was during that time, because I always saw that, like, it didn't matter, for example, at the nonprofit, how many parent presentations we put out. Parents don't have time to come. You'd always see the same handful of parents. And that's really where that my whole golden egg project, and for anyone who's part of Serious Joy, that Christopher Witecki, who is Kristen's soul brother,
Really, my soul brother.
He encouraged us to look at, what is our golden egg project? What is our golden age project? And even before I got on Serious Joy, that's when I actually started it, as I knew that I wanted to be able to get to parents, because my goal is to help the children, is to help the young people, because I never want them to go through what I went through growing up. And I know things are preventable. It's just that we don't always have a guide to take us on our way. As parents, we need someone to parent us.
Oh my gosh, right?
So if I can help parent parents, then they can spend their time parenting their children in a more thoughtful and intentional way. And so really, be your influence. It's about being your own influence. It's about being your own BFF. It's about that self-love, that self-care, and how we can show up as our best selves. It doesn't matter if you're a parent or if you're a tween or teen or a young adult.
Or a guardian, or
right.
a babysitter, or a nanny. Like, I've gone through your site and I'm like, wow, she's got some really meaty tools. And I'm a vegetarian.
I am too.
That are so practical and potent, very potent, and so needed. So was this the phase in 2020 when you're like, okay, something's got to shift?
That's where I actually sought out, because I didn't put it together formally, but for years I had already been teaching my strategic calm approach to communication. Because if you think about it, having our communication is the foundation of any relationship.
Yep.
And if I am able to use my personal and professional insights to guide parents. I also teach this to students too, just in a little bit different way. Then they can be more thoughtful, because so often we don't realize, and I learned this, I have boy-girl twins. They're Geminis on top of it.
Amazing. Like, you can't write that. And like that, I was like, of course you do. Of course you do.
Right. And there would be times, I remember elementary school, they would come home and my kids were always the ones that they were telling me everything. They were asking me everything. And I would literally have to say to them, guys, I didn't think we were going to be talking about this for a few more years. Can you give me about 10 minutes so I can think about what I want to say, or 30 minutes or whatever?
I love that. I mean, just that alone, because, society is so fast paced. Just by saying 1 second, let me, tune in with myself, give me 10 minutes to reflect on that. Like, that alone is a powerful tool for parents. Be like, hey, that's going to happen. I need this much time. Right. And it also empowers your children to know, like, you don't have to answer it right away.
Right. We're always modeling. Our children are always watching us, even during those like tween and teen years, when they just have that ugly look on their face. They don't want to have anything to do with you sometimes. They are still watching, and they still need and desire your guidance. So by doing that, once again, it models a great behavior that it's a life skill for them. I'm all about life skills. Okay. Yeah. And especially because by the time I was 19, both my parents had passed. And
that forces you to grow up so fast, right?
Well, I took my parenting, because there was a long time that I didn't know if I would still be on this planet at the age I'm at now. So part of my parenting was about how can my children be prepared? Like, how can I successfully launch them? Not in a scary way, but it was like, what are all the things that I wish I had known, so that they can, navigate life? And some of them are very basic, like the pause. And that's actually part of the strategic calm. What it stands for, it's about be strategic is the first step. Then C is for center, A is for acceptance, which is acceptance versus judgment, which is huge. L is listen, and M is mindful. And so I ended up creating this video-based program because I wanted to so badly. I realized in 2020, I need to be able to get to these parents. And so I did search out like the best way to do it. I signed up for coaching programs. I learned the best programs, in terms of how to do it and everything. I got way out of my comfort zone, but I did it and I created it. And it's something that parents can access at any time. Now, going back to my children, I think another thing that happens too is, we operate probably about 95% of our time on a non-conscious level. We're only conscious about 5% of our day, because you think about it, so much of what we do is automatic. Yeah. And deep down, we're also, like, at least when I grew up, it was like your parents, you didn't go against them. Although I definitely pushed the boundary.
Oh, for real. For real.
Yeah. But it was like, I grew up where, things were like parents, teachers, everyone, doctors, they were up on this pedestal.
Yeah.
And there was this level of perfection. And so I think another thing that's so important is about modeling imperfect parenting. So,
and I have a question. You're Pluto and Virgo generation, right?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Just saying.
Okay. Y'all are going to find out some stuff about me.
Oh, sorry. I was like, what?
No, you're
okay. Okay. But I think that generation, the perfectionism was very high. And, back in the 50s, when doctors were getting all the power. No, your breast milk isn't as good as this formula. It was a slow.
Well, and then think about it. And I have to say a shout out to Lindsay, my son's girlfriend's on here. She is the best. I love her so much. I'm so glad.
That's so cute. Good props for you, Lindsay. Excellent job.
Anyways, guys, yeah, my twins are 26 now. So, but anyways, another thing is, and no one tells you, that's the thing about parenting. There's so much that, like, you go full in. It's like you think, okay, I'm going to have these cute little babies and we're just going to, dress them up. We're going to do all these things, but people don't tell you like the real deal. And that's really another goal of mine is I want to give you the questions before you're in the situation and you didn't realize what you needed to ask. So for example, your childhood comes up a lot in this as a gift. Oh. And, for example, when I was growing up with my dad, I could never do things good enough. So that whole perfectionism thing was in spades for me. Wow. So by being able to, with my children, actually, let them know that it's like, something I never really thought that we would be talking about this right now. Or, for example, another thing is you'll find yourself in situations. And I just want to let you know, please don't be that parent who says, my child would never do that.
Oh, because they'll do it in 5 minutes in your face.
Well, and the problem is when you are so shut down like that, you're going to miss clues along the way that you could catch a behavior or situation that's going on when you can actually change its trajectory before it's too late. And so I would actually, for example, we have a situation, part of it, our children, I created what's called a parenting pillar. And what our children really want is this parenting pillar where it's not that we're devoid of emotions or anything, but when they come to their home, so it's about creating that safe, sacred space for them, that they will come to you with anything.
Yes.
Anything. And that's where strategic calm comes in, because I guide you through a lot of it. We have success sheets. It's fun and everything too. However, it's the little things. I mean, it's never this big grandiose learning or whatever. It's making just these subtle tweaks to how we parent. So for example, like in a situation, I remember saying to my kids, it's like, something, you've never been through this before. I've never been through this before. However, something, we're going to figure this out. I've got your back. We're going to figure this out. All they want to know, they don't want to know the answer right then. They just want to know that you've got them. And so that's where the pillar comes in, because then they're able to bounce up against you. And it's about holding space. And this is more so as our children get older. And I think that sometimes, here you have these infants who they just completely depend on you. Yeah. And then they go into these cute little toddlers. And I'll be honest, I never found a bad age. People say terrible twos. No, bah humbug. They were horrible.
Yeah, like my son flipped at 3. I was like, gosh, 2 was great.
Right? But something, they're doing what they're meant to do.
Yeah.
And that's where, as a parent, it's about how we show up for them. It's about being really thoughtful and intentional. So anyways, so here they are. You got these cute little toddlers and they do stuff. Then you move into like about midway through elementary school. So like teen years, all of a sudden they're under construction from head to toe. And literally they have hormones going. And anyone take a wild guess? At what age do you think the brain is fully developed?
14.
Actually 25, boys a little bit later. So
really?
Okay, this was one of the best things I learned. It really made more sense, is that brains develop from the back to the front. So this is very basic, okay? So motor development, you have your emotional, critical thinking, prefrontal cortex. Well, what happens is it's kind of like a house. You've built this house, you have all the wiring in, and you go to flip the switch, but the lights don't go on. And it's because during these years, the connectivity, the brains are actually hardwiring to themselves. And during these times, the emotional part of their brain is 2.5 times bigger than the prefrontal cortex, the critical thinking. So they can't help but have this big emotional outburst. It's part of it. And just by understanding that, in terms of like, I remember one of my kids I won't say who, would kind of like come in and then all of a sudden there'd be like this trail of stuff. And I'm thinking, do you not know your way back down to your room, to the living room? But then once I learned this, it was like, I could laugh. I'm like, oh my God, prefrontal cortex, the brain's not really talking to each other. So think about it. They have all this going on. They've never been this age or stage before. And then you introduce technology and electronics, which hijack the brain. And it actually, studies are coming out. There's the book, I wish I had it in front of me. I think it's called The Anxious Generation, something like that. I'll put it in the chat, when we're done, since I decided to join Kristen out in my living room versus my office. But anyways, now we are far enough into this where we are seeing, studies are revealing how this is negatively impacting our children. Then you add in a substance, and that's why it is like so important. Yes. I see.
Well, no, because
I'll just start,
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. Well, because it's not only, illegal substances, it's prescription substances as well that has never been at this level. And, I mean, just I am a non-prescript. Like if the dirt's going to heal it, that's where I'm going to go, or a leaf or whatever. But I was watching parents drop their kids off for camp, and the plastic bag of prescriptions that they had for these kids, I was just like, and my son is not on the spectrum. I have a mom friend I want to bring on in the future who has done all these cleanses and things for her children and not done any of this stuff. Yeah. But I was just so shocked, and my heart broke, because I mean, I'm sorry, the natural Mary Jane is a lot better than a lot of that stuff, in my opinion. I don't practice that, but do you include that in some of the coaching when working with substance abuse?
Well, absolutely. And that's where prevention comes in. And I just have to say that actually, the marijuana is very dangerous for children. You have to think, back in the day, the THC level was at 4 to 6%. THC is the part of the plant that gets you high. That's not the medicinal plant, okay? That's not the part. So we were kind of hoodwinked. It was all a master plan to get it all legalized, because once it's legalized, there's no turning back, and even for recreational. I have no issue with adults, okay? My focus, I am an advocate for children and for young people whose brains aren't fully developed, and so that they can be in the healthiest overall mental, physical, spiritual state to make the best decisions for their current and future self. What ends up happening now, THC is at 50% plus. When you get into the oils, it's 90% plus.
Oh my gosh, I had no.
It's very scary, Kristen. And as a matter of fact, we have had enough studies that, and I know personally people whose children, especially with the vaping is very dangerous in terms of, because it's an aerosol, it goes directly into the lungs. I actually have worked with a young man who had to have a double lung transplant as a result. Okay, his whole life has been changed. He's out advocating for this, bless his heart. And the thing is that it actually, you can develop psychosis from it, because once again, you have a developing brain. You have a brain that is very, it's very
malleable.
Yes, exactly. And what I'm seeing happening, and I talked to a number of parents, and so getting back to your prescription drug thing too, is that what ends up happening, I spoke to a mom probably about 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, and unfortunately, her son was already having some behavioral issues. Okay. But the thing is sometimes when you initially go the medical route, PCP, your primary care and all that, their first thing, and we're also in a society where you want a quick fix. Well, now this child, truly only 15, is on 3 prescription drugs and vaping, and vaping nicotine and vaping THC. Vaping nicotine is also very dangerous in that way, because it actually, I didn't even think we'd get into all this part.
I didn't either, but obviously
we're talking about my parenting and all this other stuff, but here we are.
It's really important, Carol, because I'm sorry, America is very known to be a drug country, prescription drugs, and with Jupiter moving through Gemini, all of this information coming to the brain, all of the astrology coming this fall, people, parents, and children's mental health is priority.
Yes.
So this is where your work is so imperative.
So anyway, I'm talking to this mom, and I mean, the son is having outbursts where the police have had to come, where they're now afraid of him. And the problem is you no longer have a baseline of what part of this is actually him and what part of it, which prescription drug, and because so many of our young people, unfortunately, with the mental health issues and the stress and anxiety is probably the biggest one. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, at least in our studies at the nonprofit, and we do these annually and biannually ever since 2005. We have trend data. We survey anywhere from the lowest 2,500 all the way up on some years 7,500 8th through 12th graders or 7th through 12th graders. So we've been watching this since 2009, since I've been there, and we have trend data that shows that at any one point in time, there are, in your classroom, you have almost half of the students who are feeling stressed and anxious. A good number of them are also feeling depressed. We break it down in a number of different ways so that we can really help identify this. But then getting back to the drugs. Okay, so you already have. So you think about when you're stressed and you're anxious, you are already not feeling great. You have high cortisol levels. You're not regulating. You're probably not sleeping well. Your brain is firing all over the place. Then you start adding in the prescription drugs. And that's why, at least personally, I take much more of the approach that you have. Even my son, we ended up finding out he had Tourette's. I never put him on a prescription drug.
Wow.
What I told him, because it had been going on, we didn't realize what it was until the day that we did, and it had been going on for a little while. And I'm very much into the alternative. I mean, Reiki master, I went to shamanic wheel, I've done the crystal oil, you name it, kind of thing. I'm not against Western medicine. However, it's not always the first thing that I'll choose. And my son, because when you have Tourette's, what can happen is your body doesn't stop moving.
Right.
And so he was not sleeping. All he wanted to do was sleep. And once I found out, immediately was able to get him in to the head of Children's Hospital who specialized in this. And of course, you get a prescription. He was actually very impressed how well my son was doing.
Wow.
And that's because my son very open to whatever. He's very open to learning from others, doing, And so anyways, if I go and I fill this prescription and then I read about it, it's something that's going to do something with his brain. Soon I'm like, oh my God, we have got to wait. And I, end up having a conversation. I let him know, listen, we need to explore every other option possible before we go this route. I go, if we can't find something that's going to work, then we'll go this route. But we never did. We never had to. And he is an extremely high function. You wouldn't know it.
Can I ask what the approach was that you took?
Oh my God, so many, Kristen.
I mean, that's
like the first stops in sleep was the big issue. I actually found a mom, I think it was in Arizona or something, whose son had Tourette's. She made this essential oil mixture that helped him sleep. So I got that.
Okay. That's
and
where
then it went from there. It was, and I mean, we did all sorts of things. And plus he is also someone where he searches out. He is always learning and growing, and he'll do whatever, the energy medicine, whatever kind of thing. That's not for everyone. It's not for everyone.
Right.
I'm just saying in that case, it was fine.
Yeah. And this was prior to coming up with your own programs, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, this is where a lot of, and I guess the reason I share it, and I know that he wouldn't mind me sharing it, because he's still, I mean, obviously it just doesn't go away type of thing.
Sure.
But he actually, first of all, one of the things, don't label your children. Like both my son and daughter had asthma in the first year of life. We never labeled them as asthma kids. You let them, you manage it. Obviously that was with, nebulizers and all that other stuff. But it was always about, them being their best selves and knowing who they are as individuals. And matter of fact, I was cracked up one time, I think it was elementary school. They were the two fastest in their class. And I joked with their dad, I go, look at our asthma kids go. But we didn't, because sometimes I think as a parent, and this is where a lot of my work comes in, it's really guiding the parents about how do you feel? Because we're so focused, we're so heart connected to our children that we don't know where we stop and they begin. So it's about getting that healthy detachment, first of all. And then I always ask someone if they have a situation going on, how does that make you feel? Because they're so focused on wanting to control their children and fix it. But, something we got to come back.
Acceptance. So, and I mean, that goes to the simplicity of the 12-step program. Accept the things you cannot change.
Yes.
I think acceptance is huge. And, the societal prejudices or judgment of other parents of like,
that's worse. The bullying.
Does your program offer support for parents to like mitigate all of that baloney?
Actually, that's gonna be on some of my next offerings. I already have them, but I had to slow it down and we gotta kind of do a little bit. My goal is to have a parent community, an inspired parent community that it's about in my website. It's .love.
you're building this community on your website for parents and families, correct?
Yes, I want it to be on
Awesome.
my site. I do not want a Facebook group. I do not want it anywhere else. I'm pulling my video programs hopefully by the end of September.
Amazing.
I'm creating a membership site on my website. I want it to feel safe. I want it to feel sacred. I want to really serve parents at the highest level, connect them with each other. Let's learn, let's grow, let's support each other. I'm going to have different programs available, different tools, different resources. And it's really going to be a community that parents can kind of come back and just know that this is their space that they can come to, know that we got them. Once again, it's back to that parenting, the parents, and that if I don't have an answer, I'm going to get you an answer.
I have goosebumps from head to toe. I love
Thank you.
what you've created. It's so like I can't get beyond how imperative and top priority this is, and so in alignment with the astrology that we're all navigating through and what is coming.
Right.
Because these are really, and it feels like, because I've learned so much from my child, right? If that's the whole thing, controlling our children, it's like, no. This is a humbling, you're going to learn process.
Yes.
And, I think that approach, like you took with your kids alone, like giving the space and, not trying to control them, because they're exploring, right? They're just
Yes.
learning and the growth, and knowing that the brain is not fully functioned until 25. I mean, who of us knew? I thought I knew everything at a quarter of a century old.
Right.
Right. And it's like, no, it's just the beginning. And it puts it puts the pause on life, right? Like, just slow it down.
Yes.
Eckhart Tolle really knew what he was talking about, being in the now. And it feels like your programs are so empowering for the whole family unit, for the parents to communicate better with each other, for the parents to communicate better with their children, vice versa, children with their parent. Like, it just goes on and on and on with the wins.
Absolutely. And thank you. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, I would love to, my purpose, I truly feel, is, to be a conduit to this healing, to this information, to give parents the easy button, let them learn through, what I've already gone through. And professionally, personally, I never thought I would end up in the field that I did for so long. However, there's a reason behind it. I never thought I would be in the situations I was in with twins and getting them up and off, raising my younger sister through high school and college. I gave up my dreams for that, kind of floundered for a while, but here I am. And I think that's why I love about your show, Kristen, is excuse me, I'm not used to talking this much. I mean, like, I have me and
let's hydrate. We're gonna hydrate.
I know I should have. Yeah,
and I know. I'm gonna be with another curly-haired goddess today. I'm so
right?
excited.
Well, and that's what I love about your show, Kristen, is that you are shining a light on so many beautiful people in all different modalities who are bringing such goodness to the world, to make this world a better place, to unite us all together. That we do have this beautiful community of like-minded people that, you're bringing us all together and you're shining the light on all of us. So thank you.
I'm like, thank you. I'm like, this is part of my earth purpose. I love it. And what's so wonderful about, because it happened through Serious Joy, just like the trusting of the process of Mother, Father, God, Universe, just like, you're like, how was I in this field for 16 years? You were in training. It was preparing you for everything that you are birthing right now and gifting to the world. And it's right on time. You know, this is the divine time that we all came together to be these light warriors and healers and to help those that have no idea how programmed they've been or detached or poisoned or, you know, all of the things that we're seeing that are beginning to implode on themselves with that old paradigm.
Right.
That, you know, us as kids in our superhero things, we're like, oh no, we're real Jedis now, man. It's like, whoa. But it's all a learning and a training. And I've always learned best by experience. I was never a kid that did well in I mean, I got good grades and all that stuff and did as I was told. But that's another interesting thing in the educational system. You know, kids are told to sit down in these toxic fluorescent lights, pay attention, you must conform, and unless you're in an alternative education program. You know, so I think the more courage that you and I are participating in and shining our light and bringing our gifts to the world, you know, that initial courage of taking the blinder off for everyone to truly see what's been going on, so that we can all come together with differences in place to support each other through these monumental shifts. You know, it's so exciting and it takes the fight out of it, in my opinion. You know, and it brings, it's like, well, who wait a minute, you're gorgeous. Who are you? How come I haven't met you till now? It's like, well, God had a plan.
Right. Well, you know, it's interesting you bring that up because one of the things through my business, I've actually had my business as well as, you know, working my, you know, the nonprofit. And I was at a Catholic school a few years back. They all blend, and doing a presentation. And I started off with statistics, and some people were like, no, but you know, my whole thing, it's about speaking the truth. Someone has got to speak the truth in terms of what's really going on with our young people, because we cannot all keep our heads in the sand. We need to have parents, we need to have families start coming together and making a positive change for all of our children. And then there'll be a ripple effect. As a matter of fact, my sister did put the book, Anxious Generation Rewiring Childhood Epidemic, already in there.
Oh,
and that's one of the things. This is so funny because this man who wrote this book, it is only confirming everything I've known and been doing. And it's like people are actually, I generally have people thank me for actually letting them know, but I feel that that's part of my thing that, you know, I need to be that voice. I need to be that messenger to shine a light on these different issues. So, and even something like, for example, when, you know, kids start going to other people's houses and there's parties and whatnot, and how there's some parents who want to be that cool parent and provide the alcohol, provide the drugs. What they don't realize is that they are almost playing God in some ways, because they do not know what health issues those children have. They're coming to their home.
Yeah.
They don't know what family values those families have, and how just because they want to be the cool parent that they have completely destroyed. Or maybe I do know children who have had to be taken to the hospital because there was a drug interaction with what, you know. So
it's, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's also, I've noticed, starting younger and younger and younger.
Yes.
And younger.
Third, in that, well, here, okay, two things. In the county I live in, we've had a school suspend a student for vaping in third grade. They're 8 years old. And there are parents, this isn't everyone. Please know this isn't everyone. There are parents who are buying vapes for their children to help them with their anxiety.
And that's the thing, though, like vaping is a new thing, right? They don't know the long-term effects. Like we don't even know the long-term effects of all that stuff that started with generations ago.
We are actually starting to see, it's been around just long enough. I was on the front lines of all that back around 2015 or so, 16, something like that when it first started. We are starting to see it. And that's where we are seeing, the impact on the lungs. I can't tell you how many videos of students I have who almost died from vaping. We have the whole border situation with the fentanyl. That's a whole other thing going on.
And I have a personal situation in relationship with fentanyl, and we're on the other side of it, but it took years. And the way the system is set up, the kids go in, they're fine for a bit, they come out, they're back on the streets, it's all over again. They go in, that's that, and it's just that is how that system is set up. Now, I saw on your website that you have coaching if a student gets into that type of situation, and instead of being so disciplinary, like you offer the support, right?
Well, here it is. It's the Student Accountability and Empowerment Program.
Oh, I love it.
An alternative to suspension program. Back in 2009, I actually came up with the program. It was too far ahead of its time. And anyway, so through the coalition, as the years went on, we were able to we have it in one of our high schools. We've been able to do it. And anyways, and then I was also given permission that I could take it out on my own, and I renamed it. But basically what it is, you cannot suspend your way out of an addiction or a mental health issue. And there are studies now, and it's right on my website, in terms of that, it's even showing I think it's the National Administration of Educators or something like that, that they're showing that actually suspension, it can make things worse. Because you think about it, you have, a child who got caught, let's say vaping, and I've worked with vaping, marijuana, and alcohol tend to be the ones. And anyways, so what happens? They get suspended. So they're at home, they can use more. They're with a parent who doesn't know what to do. And then you get this anger and frustration that goes on. And I've worked one-on-one with some families who did not have access to the program. What my goal is to get this out to more schools. So what this program is, it's actually packaged in a way that, I can work with the school. I'm going to give them the easy button. It's let's work with your unique school setting. Let's figure out the best way to get this set up. Let me, help you with your forms, the way you can operate this. And then also, the whole thing is so many they're called restorative justice or alternative to suspension. They tend to only educate about their substance of choice. Well, if education about a substance was enough, to stop kids,
right,
it already worked.
There's a behavioral problem. There's an emotional issue underneath that needs addressing, that the addiction is the Band-Aid for to begin with, right?
Well, and hopefully it's getting a lot of the students, I've spoken to and worked with, it's a little bit before the addiction, because you just never know. And that's one thing I want to just say right now as parents. It is very, very important to tell your children if there's a history of addiction or mental health illness in your family. Because the whole thing is I've gone into, I can't tell you how many middle schools, kids all know, oh yeah, we have heart disease, we have diabetes, we have all of that. However, they need to know if there's a history of addiction or mental health, because if they're in a situation, that is going to give them pause, because we educate them. Not all schools do this, but if they realize that it just takes one time, and it doesn't even have to be the substance that maybe your parents had used, your grandparents or whatever. One time can awaken that part in your brain, and you're going to forever deal with it. So we need to be giving our children more information and strategies of how to refuse. What is the backup? Parents, be the bad guy. Be the bad guy.
Be the bad guy. I'm ready to be a bitch with my 29-degree Scorpio, because I'm like, oh, Mama said no.
Right. Make your parents the bad guy. Have a code word or phrase that they can text you. You will go and get them out of any situation, no questions asked. And that is the whole thing. As parents, if we tell our children that, something, I don't care what situation you're in, if you feel uncomfortable, it could even be maybe they're going to get in a car, they know that parent has been drinking, or maybe they just have a gut feeling, which is another thing I really work on a lot, is with parents and with teens in terms of, I'll get back to, I know I didn't fully finish student accountability and empowerment program.
It's all good. It's all
yeah,
good.
I know. But anyways, is if something feels off,
Yeah, it probably
go
is.
with it.
Yeah.
You know, this is such a gift that we were born with. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is that gets squashed as we grow and we're more formalized into society and the way we're supposed to operate. That kind of gets squashed. And it's a time that we need to be encouraging our students, our children. We need to, even with us, you know, if something feels off, don't lose your mind, notice it, and then take steps to figure out what you can do to find out. And this is where, once again, getting back to that whole strategic, calm approach to communication, I have success tools in there. I have videos, no videos more than 25 minutes. And it's something that helps you to make this an automatic habit as a parent. Okay, I notice I'm feeling something is off. What's going on here? Because sometimes we just want to kind of jump right in and talk to our child about it because we're panicking. No. Unless it really is, you know, a life or death situation, it's an emergency. You want to take that time. You want to take that time to really explore what's going on. And that's where Be Strategic comes in. What's the best time? What's the best place? Have our children, are they hungry? Do they have to go to the bathroom? Are they tired? Because I know I used to pounce on my kids as soon as they would get home from the door, and they'd be, you know, ambushed.
Don't talk to me when I'm hangry. Just don't talk to me when I'm hangry. Oh my goddess, I can't even. And or you know, oh my gosh, I had to do a little road trip, and a person asked me a question. And I was like, I can't answer you because I can't think because I have to pee. I'll be right back.
No, that's totally me. Matter of fact, my kids, they would say, if we got lost in the woods, we would want to be with you because you have food and water. We would want to be with Dad so we could get out.
That's so great.
You know, but it's all about, you know, just being, it's about managing ourselves and managing our energies, managing our emotions, and getting to a point where we really feel that we're in a good space that we can talk. Our children have radar. They have bullshit radar. Totally. They pick up on what we're feeling, even if we're not even in the same room with them. I mean, I still get that with my son today.
Oh, sure. I mean, as women, we have cells of our children in us for the rest of our lives. Now, and then, you know, this goes back to empowering the accountability and responsibility, right? Because when we take our own accountability in front of our children for our own shifts that are going on or happening, you know, it's like, okay, and guess what? I'm needing a private moment to collect myself, you know, like that's such a great modeling for our kids to be like, hey, it's okay to give yourself a time out to reflect before responding so that you're clearer to take accountability and responsibility.
Yeah. You know something? I have an article, and once again, the website, beyourinfluence.love. This is my phase 2 that just came out this weekend. Phase 3 will be out. I actually have, hi, James. I know,
Simon. James Porterfield in the house.
Yeah. Woohoo. Party can start. Anyways, I actually have an article on there, and it's about, you know, managing conversations that escalate. And I've always believed timeouts are for parents. And what it is if you feel the conversation starting to escalate, we have a lot of times parenting is about getting some standard issue statements that you can pull. Because think about it, when we're stressed, oxygen leaves our prefrontal cortex. So we physiologically cannot think straight. So what you do is you say, you know, honey, I love you too much to argue. I am going to take a time out for however much time you need. You just need to make sure you come back in that amount of time. Right there, you're modeling it's okay to take a break. Because no good happens when we're in anger and stress. No good happens on tech devices after midnight, you know, kind of two things. So
those dopamine levels are shot.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's where I wanted I created the Be Your Influence Parenting Barometer. So it's something I actually came up with during the middle school years of my children, because that seemed to be the time for me that I got gifted with some childhood trauma I did not resolve.
Happy
My daughter,
birthday.
like, no one tells you this, you know,
No.
in all those baby books. Yeah, you're going to be re-traumatized. They'll look a little different, but anyways, what I realized, my daughter was getting bullied really bad in sixth
Oh,
grade.
I got
Well,
bullied.
oh, me too. Well, can I tell? I was so upset about how this was going on and everything. I actually said to my daughter, one of my golden parenting moments, I'm like, why aren't you more upset about this? Because on a parenting barometer, what it is, you want to operate between so from 0 to 10, you want to operate between like 3 and 7. I call that neutral emotional state. It's not being devoid of emotion. It's being neutral, nice, clean energy, clean emotions. Well, anything that's an 8 or above or a 2 or below is an overreaction or an underreaction, which means it could be an issue that you get to relook at.
Which is so empowering for our own healing process.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goddess, Carol,
Well,
you're a genius.
Thank you. Well, and you said it earlier, and I agree too. We learn some of our greatest lessons from our children. You know, we truly do. They were, you know, uniquely gifted to us, and not in an ownership way, but in a way that we're shepherding them into who they're meant to be, as you know, as my daughter calls it, when they're a baby adult or something, you know, and to guide them. And that's another thing, you know, we have them when they're infants and they're toddlers. I mean, they depend on us, they look up to us, they hold on to our every word. Then tween and teen years, not so much, because they're starting to push away and everything. And that's where we shift from that really like the parenting, I'm taking care of you mode, to being more of a mentor, a guide, a coach, a facilitator. Because what it is we're stepping back, and we love them just as much, but it's like, okay, how can I get them to be a high functioning adult so that you know, and that's where your core values come in. What's important to you? Like, I would much rather have my children than they are be kind, be thoughtful, be aware of others, than to be in this AP class getting in, you know, a 4.5 or whatever garbage. You know, be good people. Be someone who is going to be shining your light. And how can I help get you there? How can I help you navigate? Because our children have never been this age or stage before. Just keep remembering it, because there's so many. I mean, it's messy. Parenting is messy. It really is. Yeah, it's the most important job on this planet. So how can we help get our children? Because even like there are times when mine, I mean, especially Gemini, man, they are good with their words. I know they are good with their words, and I would stop and think, it's like, okay, you know something, this is really gonna like serve them well when they're adults, but how can we both make it out alive until they are adults?
Oh, trust me. I mean, I've had those moments with my son, and you know, in watching some of the foundations that I've provided for him, and I wish I knew about your program forever ago, but to see the progress we've made through some really challenging things that we've both experienced this past week, I was so proud of us. And I'm like, all right, like, go kid, go, you know, and to be able to root our children on, you know, be like, I am your number one fan. I am your number one, like, you've got this. I believe in you. You're doing great, instead of the belittle. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really about balancing that out, because I mean, I've seen how far over the top where everyone's a winner, everyone gets
that is baloney.
Oh, I know.
Baloney.
I know you know that. I'm just putting that out there. And so it's like managing that. But it's like, even when there are situations that, to me, like, you know, I mean, I remember, and I share it in the Strategic Calm program, that, you know, it might have been my daughter or something, like she had something really tough to share with me. And you know something, I was able, even though I was not happy, I was able to see and acknowledge the courage that talk. Because think about it, our children have never had a class in terms of what feelings are, how to share them, how to share tough conversations.
Home ec is gone, carpentry's gone,
All the good
skill
stuff.
stuff is gone.
I feel like I'm trying to fill the void. And, with the students is with the parents and like some of these basic life skills. And it's not that you may not be happy with the situation, but it's about taking that moment, about getting, we operate out of love or we operate out of fear, regardless of what you talk about. Can you keep your heart open enough and acknowledge and say, oh my God, I am so proud of you. I know that took a lot of courage to share what you just shared. There's still going to be a consequence.
Yes.
I'm going to actually take a couple days to think about this, and that's okay. You just have to be, because I really want to think about this and think about what, would be the best fit here.
Yeah, because the consequence is the result of an action, and it's a consequence is different than that constant berating energy.
Yes.
Opinion,
Yes.
but there are consequences. That's how the universe works.
And I have an article too. This couldn't have worked out better. Thank you, God and angels, that I have an article on there. It's about natural consequences and how important they are, that they experience them while they're still under 18 when the cost is so much lower versus older. And I do want to throw out, because I know we're almost out of time, I want to help parents and families so much. What I'm doing, because Kristen is so beautiful and having me on her show.
You're psychic. I was going to do it too.
Okay.
I'm going to do her pitch, everybody. Carol has an amazing gift for anyone that has tuned into this.
Yes. And the Strategic Calm Approach to Communication is a video-based program where you're able to go at your own pace. It does build on each other. It has success tools. But what I'm doing is, when you go into the website and you click on, I can't remember if it's learn more or whatever, I don't have it in front of me. You will get a coupon. Your coupon code is Kristen, Kristin, and you will receive $200 off of the program.
Oh my gosh, Carol. Yo, did you hear that? $200.
Yep, $200.
I am putting the link to that that's the mastermind, the Calm, right?
Right.
$397. She's giving $200. Carol, that is the best gift ever.
I want people to have the information. And I want to let you know, even though it says for parents of 9 to 15-year-olds, it actually works on any age. I have people who have used this on their adult children. It works even a little bit younger. It's really school-age children, but I really, from a time standpoint, I don't want to have to go and rebrand it. I do work with parents outside of the 9 to 15-year-old range. It's just the reason I picked those ages, those are tween and teen years, the most transitions happen. They go from elementary to middle school to high school. Their hormones are going on, all sorts of things. They're being introduced to so many different things that these are real critical years for us to help support and help our children navigate and truly be there for them.
And I want to put up on here, if y'all want to follow Carol on Facebook, this is her Be Your Influence on Facebook. You can follow her there. And if I want to put a pitch out, if you are an educator in the public school system, please contact Carol at Be Your Influence, because all of your videos, all of your programs, this is her Instagram, are video based, right? So they
yes, there's that. And also I do go out and I do live. Especially with the students. Yeah. Like the life skills, choosing how you show up in life, that works really well as in person. And just so you know, there's going to be more programs released as the year goes on, but you got to start somewhere to get somewhere. So
this is it's a magical start, Carol. And I think you've just created such a potent and needed priority for parents and the family structure and these powerful children that are here at such a beautiful time in our evolutionary process.
Thank
Oh
you.
my
I
gosh.
wanted to let you know really quick,
Yeah.
for any of the people watching who are into the astrology, into the human design, I honor all of that and I can help guide you through that, because there are some really important things that I feel that are missed in those areas that I would really like, parents to understand. So
Amazing. So basically, if you have familiarity
I
with
have I have
astrology.
enough familiarity, and what I would love to do at some point is actually partner with the experts. But my thing, I come from a practical doable. So, for example, really quick, I saw in a post that one parent was really trying to honor her child's human design. The child was having big blowouts, and one of the big blowouts was very disrespectful to the mother. That's
Oh,
not okay.
no.
That's not okay. And I think that sometimes people are under the illusion that, oh no, but that's the way my child's designed. Yes, we do need to understand how our child is energetically put together. However, there's ways that we need to teach them the tools in the right way so that they don't become a bully or be bullied, and that they can actually be kind, high functioning adults.
I love it. And bullying is a thing too.
It's
I tell my
huge.
kids, you take a stand for yourself, which is what we are all coming together to do. Oh my gosh, Carol, this was so chock full of so much powerful healing techniques and modalities for families, parents, and children. And I am just my heart is aglow with inspiration for everything that you've created. And thank you so much for joining me in this 11th episode of Who Are You? Who, who? Oh my gosh. All right, we're going to wrap it up, folks. Oh, if you need a reading, if you need a
Yes.
single feeling,
She's
if you need anything, go to my website, kristenwriter.com. I've got more things I've got to announce, but we have been on for a little over an hour and I want to respect y'all's time. So thank you everyone for
Thank
taking
you.
time to tune into all that you are. Carol, I love you.
I love you too.
In the back room
Absolutely.
afterwards.
Thank
Okay.
you, everyone.
Thank you.